All right, so large populations. Our school, and I don't know how your schools are set up, we don't have an advisory period. I don't know if you guys have seminar or advisory or any of that stuff. We have modified block schedule, so we have 7-hour periods, and that's kind of how we go through it. So we did not, in our setting, we did not have a giant like pep rally kickoff at the beginning of the year just because of size. And the way in which we kicked it off was to take it to each classroom over a 7-day period. First hour was one expectation with our matrix, and I don't have our matrix here. But we taught an expectation every day for the first 7 periods, and we had like a canned or scripted lesson that we gave to every teacher. We asked them to do it right at the beginning of the period. That allowed us to share the load, just tried to take as much work off of their hands as they possibly could. We really try to stroke their egos as teachers because I mean secondary teachers are just different animals than elementary teachers. They really are, and I can go into some of that too later. But we just you want them to feel very natural taking that information to the students. If we're going to teach school-wide expectations on technology, then we want everybody using the same terminology. So we broke it out that way so that it wasn't the same teacher given the same information, and so everybody had to go through that process. So that's at least what we did at Lawrence High in terms of rolling it out.
So I'm going to piggyback off of Bill because we did the same thing at Free State High School our first year. We rolled it out hours 1 through 7. Here's an expectation. Here's your scripted lesson. And a growing pain that we found was by 6th, 7th hour, the kids were done. They didn't want to hear anymore. They were done with it. So this year when we rolled it out, because we did adapt, we made some changes to our matrix this year. We did 2 expectations a day because we saw the kids 4 days that week. And it seemed to go significantly smoother. The kids were more receptive. We still staggered it, so expectation 1 and 2 was still first and second hour, then the next day was 3 and 4, and the kids didn't seem to be burned out, and they seemed to really understand. So we took a longer time this year, and I feel that it went better at that point than when we did all in one day. So I don't know if you guys did all in one day, 2 days,
no,
or 2 years
we
ago.
did 7 days. 7 days, 7 periods. So first day was first hour, second day was second, third day was third, fourth day was fourth. And then put announcements every day that kind of alluded to today in third hour you're going to hear about campus. Please be aware, blah, blah, blah. So, and then we did it again second semester and just reversed the order so that it was really hopefully a consistent message.
So we do have advisory period, but we also do a 6th grade orientation at the beginning of the year. So it's a little different to introduce it to the 6th graders because we start with Bulldog Countdown, Blast Off, we call it, and just it all leads into then we do just 1 expectation per day during advisory period so that it's not overloaded onto them. So yeah, ours looks a little bit different.
How we introduced it to staff, they had actually been working on our matrix and kind of getting my principal was hired at the middle school. This would be her 3rd year. So when she came in, she slowly started integrating, like prepping our staff. Hey, we're gonna have a behavior matrix. This is what it's gonna look like. We want your input. What do you think is important? What type of things in our mission do you wanna keep? So they had basically a whole year to kind of get their head wrapped around this. But then last December, we would go back and after every Ci3T session we'd give them a little blurb. But when we really kind of showed them our implementation manual, we gave them a task, and their task was they had a whole afternoon, and they as a staff were going to work in teams to create their own matrix video to teach the kids. So we had teachers working in groups. They showed what's appropriateness and not appropriateness on the school bus, what's appropriateness and not appropriateness in the cafeteria, and they had so much fun making them. They had basically 4 hours in the afternoon of the last PD day to create this, and then our iCoach put them all together. And so when we had students come back the very first day of school, that's how we started, was by showing the staff made video, and our principal went over our behavior matrix and all of that. And then for the next week, students had daily lessons of what does it look like in the hallway, what does it look like using technology. That was another big thing. We just implemented a one-on-one initiative And so we really hit that hard too with what's appropriate and not appropriate use of the technology.
So over the summer, we had conversations as a committee. How do we overcome the lack of buy-in from the teachers? And what we realized when we started thinking about the statements that had been made by our staff, so we have around 130 certified staff members plus our classified staff members in our building. And what we realized was overall they were missing the why. They didn't know the why at all. They didn't understand why we were doing it. They didn't understand why the program was successful. And that's all in the manuals, but you have to read through all that. So what we decided to do was take it down to more simplistic terms, and myself and the art teacher and 2 other committee members worked on just a simple analogy of taking the idea that Ci3T is the coat rack that we hang everything on, because it encompasses social, academic, and behavioral. And so we actually visually had that coat rack in our session this year when we rolled out the why. And then we had different hangers that had things hanging down from them, like AVID, our equity work, different interventions that we had, the SRSS screener. And then we visually would hang them on the coat rack as we talked about why this was valuable. And we had more buy-in this year. And the teachers are like, I get it now. I get the why, because we just took it down to, we pulled the research, put it in more simple terms, and then gave that visual. And I think that visual was huge, especially when you think about the idea of a coat rack. We thought about an umbrella, but that was just too hard to figure out. So.
And taking it back to the very beginning, we were kind of at an advantage because the elementaries had started. So to get buy-in in my school, we offered a book study as graduate credit through Baker University. And we were able to do it online. All it takes is someone to have a master's degree, create a syllabus, which I did, and lead the class. And so we offered 2 hours graduate credit for everybody to get a good lead into Ci3T and PBIS.
That was a totally new concept of what you're asking me to teach a kid, why it's important to be respectful, like why is that my job as a math teacher? So what we ended up doing is we created a specific committee made of teachers who sat down, they previewed the curriculum, they select the curriculum, we modify it slightly if needed, we make it fit us. The teachers are actually the ones that roll it out to the other teachers.
What curriculum are you using?
We use Connect with Kids. So that was why I was like totally all in for Ci3T, because as a counselor, like that's like your dream of, oh my God, we're going to implement a curriculum and I'm going to have people to help me and it's like research based. This is awesome. And so that group of teachers, and it's primarily teachers. We have 6 teachers on it. Both my other counselor and I and our principals are on this committee. And it's so important to get teacher input because they are the ones that have to have the buy-in. If they're the ones we're asking them to teach, you need to have teacher input on that committee. And so they're the ones that select we help them, they ask us questions as counselors, like what do you think, that sort of thing. But they are solely the ones that manage that curriculum, really. And then at every staff development day, we take about 10-15 minutes, preview the lesson for all staff, give them the resources that they need, and say, okay, what questions do you have? How can we help support you? And then during the actual teaching of the lessons, as an admin team and a Ci3T team, we are going around rotating into each classroom, making sure they're teaching it, helping manage tough conversations, and just making sure it's being rolled out with fidelity. So.
Make sure you can get to the why with your staff. As I was saying earlier, secondary teachers love content, sometimes at the expense of loving their students. And so to ask them to take time out of their content to teach coping skills to students, to me, that's almost an insane conversation to have, because that's the whole essence of why people should be in this profession. And if they're not willing to do that, then my role is a little different because I am an administrator. So, and I'm not a scary one either. I'm very kind. But we have to.
I think it's a little scary.
But we have to challenge them a little bit in what their role is as teachers. You guys know this. You're all excellent teachers, and we always say that a great teacher can teach a phone book. So the idea that a teacher can't sit down and have a conversation about kindness or personal space or digital footprints, then they're not a very good teacher.
And Bill,
And that's the reality. I mean, that's a fact.
And
So-
I might have missed this if you already hit on it, but did you talk at all about like that email that you sent out at the very beginning?
No.
So just to frame this for him, I've worked with a lot of high schools, and I think their high school rollout has been extraordinary, and I think part of it is because of the tone that you sent at the very beginning. So he sent this email out before the whole thing launched, and do you remember the essence of what?
No, but I save everything.
You were freaking
I'll forward it to anybody that wants it. But it just, again, I'm sorry, Dr. Lane, it's an old joke, but it's the one we use all the time, is that the elementary teachers get in there because they love kids, and secondary teachers usually get in there because they love content. And college professors get in there because they love themselves. So we get that. Some of the resistance we get is, how am I going to work this in because it's lab day and I got to have science teachers. Yeah, sorry if you're a science teacher. My lab's 90 minutes and I can't take, and so the why that Kat was talking about is so important. And the reality of giving up time early to buy time later because you're teaching the expectations school-wide. And you're also showing a human side as a teacher that when you can stop what you're doing and just talk about what are your stressors, why do we treat people like this, what has you scared about graduating, it changes that relationship. So that's for us the success at the secondary level, because that's a tough animal. Is you gotta stroke their egos, man. You gotta.
Well, not all of us.
Gotta play the game a little bit. So.
I have a quick question. What program do you use?
We use Connect with Kids also. Mm-hmm. We do.
And we at the high school use it, or Free State, we've had to pause this semester and really focus on a different social need within our building, but I just want to piggyback and then I'll give it all over to you.
No, you're fine.
Bill just said something along the lines of, science teachers are like, it's a 90-minute lab and I gotta have that 90-minute lab. Man, you hear that from the culinary teachers too. They need that time. So what we did was we opened it up to where as long as it was completed during the hour that it was specified during the week that it was assigned, and there's a place on Ci3 or on Connect with Kids that you go and you report that the lesson was taught. And that eased our science and our culinary teachers' anxiety about putting it on the block days. Like Bill said, we have the modified block days, so we have Wednesday, Thursday where they're 90 minutes long, allowing them to choose, do they want to do it that Monday, Tuesday, or Friday? And it helped ease that fear and that anxiety that came with it. Like, how do I fit this lab in? How do I teach them how to make a cheesecake in 60 minutes as opposed to 90 minutes, And so that helped a lot.
Wow.
And middle school, where are we? Okay, so we're very selective with Connect with Kids, and you need to preview the videos
For sure.
for the content.
Like any other curriculum.
Yeah.
You just need to go and preview.
And at the high school level, we tell them it's not about the video, it's about the conversation of the topic. And so, we've had some high school students who are like, I'm not watching this video, there's no way. We encourage them to watch the video with the class, but it's about how the teacher frames that topic and the discussion and the point. I know that there was a big controversy at the middle school about one topic in particular, students seeing that video and having conversations around it. And so, but it's the meat of that conversation that comes, and that's why it's important to preview the video and preview the lessons that come with it to have that conversation.
We've got teachers rolling out the same project they've rolled out for 20 years, so for them to suggest that something is outdated is comical. But the discussion questions that go with the videos are excellent.
Yeah.
They are, and you can pull incredible conversations out of the discussion questions. And the video may be outdated now. We're rolling one-to-one next year. So a lot of our Connect with Kids is going to focus on digital footprints and those kinds of things. And they've upgraded those.
Yep.
They've upgraded those. They're better from response. If you would look at if you would pull the lesson plan, the
Go by that
topics
first.
are
Yes. Go by the lesson plan
great
first, then watch
starters.
the video.
Yes.
Great starters.
Yeah. We actually have a completely modified schedule the day that we have a Connect with Kids lesson. And our building stops universally at 9 o'clock, and everyone who has a class at 9 o'clock is teaching that lesson. We rotate that time every single time we do a lesson. That way it's not the same class and same teacher through every lesson. That was huge buy-in by teachers because they felt like, okay, we're all in this together. Like it's not the English department that's always being hit. It's not the whatever department or seminar. It's not always your seminar or first hour of the day. So I highly recommend that. That's been very positive for us. The other thing I was going to mention, Connect with Kids, they send out like a monthly newsletter, and our favorite lesson that we've done all year was actually, we created it based on that newsletter that came out. The article was all about the Oscars and what a mess it was when they accidentally announced La La Land as the winner instead of whatever the other movie was. And so we showed that whole scene, and it came with discussion questions in this newsletter, and the kids loved it. So the focus was on making mistakes and how do you recover from making mistakes gracefully and what do you learn from it. And if you ask any one of our kids, hey, how's Connect with Kids going, I guarantee that will be the lesson that they say they enjoyed the most. So no matter what, it's a good resource. You can get slightly, and it's discussion questions, they give really good ideas. So,
and I'm gonna shift gears just a smidgen, but still kind of along the same thing. When rolling out Ci3T, the social skills curriculum, any of it, get parental support. So I am a parent of a child here at an elementary, and I'm on their Ci3T committee as the parent rep, and I have found that my role isn't as what I imagined it would be, which is what I imagined it would be me giving them input about how to use the program more effectively within the building. But what my role has been instead is dispelling all the myths that come along with Ci3T and all of these other pieces, because parents aren't completely understanding. So don't leave out in your rollout the whole parent piece. I have had conversations with the principal where my daughter's a student, that as a parent I would love to know what do they use, not Connect with Kids, what's their curriculum? Positive action. I would love to know what their positive action videos are about that day or that month, because I would love to continue those conversations with my child, and I would love to be able to speak to that more to other parents who are there. And I would say that that's the exact same thing at the middle school and high school. Don't forget your parents. Get them involved. Get them active. Explain to them the purpose, because sometimes all the parents see is the positive behavioral reinforcement piece. They don't see the other two legs of the tripod, and then we all know how social media is. They take to social media and they tear it apart, and then you lose community support in that case. And so that's my parental hat that I'm putting on there. Don't forget your parents.
We rolled out to our faculty in May, and then in August we spent probably 2 PD days.
So what did May look like?
May looked like that we showed them our manual and went over like the highlights of it and had posted it on Schoolwide, which is what we use for sharing documents. And then in August, our focus was getting them on board with the tickets. We showed them tickets, we showed them how to use it, and teaching. We previewed the lessons that we were going to teach kids that they were every
standard. I mean, the year before, we would just, every PD we had, there was a CIT3 session, and we'd talk about the blueprint or the matrix, and this is coming, and try to just answer questions. And then in the August PD at our building, we had, I think half the PD day was just on a lot of positive reinforcement, how to use tickets.
Tier 1.
Tier 1 supports. We as a building tried to focus on 3 areas of Tier 1. Tier 1 supports, which was opportunities to respond, positive praise, and differentiation of instruction. We just felt like if every teacher could try to focus on those 3 across the school, that's what we tried to hit year 1.
I don't really remember doing a lot of summer sessions for our staff at Free State, but I do know that, so in our district, our learning coaches or instructional coaches are responsible for planning and implementing and rolling out new teacher induction. So that's always a fun week of pure craziness, it feels like sometimes. But we make sure that we hit the whys of Ci3T at that point with our new teachers coming into the district. And one of the things that I think we learned last year, and Bill will attest to this, is that it's important at that point in time to not just talk big picture, but show them their own building's manuals. So we didn't do that last year. I don't know why. I have no idea. But I do know that some of the new, I don't know if we just didn't have access to them at that point or what, but I do know that some of the new staff, they knew the why, and then they walked into their buildings and they're like, now what do we do? Like, I don't know what to do. So like, I know that Bill had to walk through with his staff, here's our manual, here's these pieces. So that's always early August when we do that. So don't forget that piece too. And if they can get your manual in your hand, it will make it a stronger connection when they come back.
Well, in the middle school, ours is a little different because we have early release on Wednesdays, so we're able to use Wednesday afternoons for a lot of RPD, for Ci3T and for equity and other programs that we need to be talking about. So social, behavior, academic, the screeners, those kind of things, so.
Well, high school kids have two things they value. Time and money.
Oh, don't forget their cell phones. So
Well,
yeah.
whatever. That's a given.
Yeah.
Cell phone.
That's like breathing anymore, right?
They're okay. For some, it's very impactful. For some, it's, they just hoard them. And, I think one of our we do a drawing every week. And we do some big things that we don't have time to go into. But
Could you tell them about your roar zone now?
Oh, I know. I was going to tell them to tell about that too, because
Yeah,
that's what
that's
our students want that.
Oh,
We haven't
well,
done it
okay.
yet.
So that's been, and
they're,
you guys.
they're at opposite high schools.
You guys, football is Lawrence, Kansas, so Friday nights are big events, and so one of our biggest prizes we give is we have a drawing where we draw 3 names out of we have a box in our office, and we draw for what we call the roar zone, which is we set up this special seating right in the end zone, like right in the end zone. And it's taped off, and we bring a cooler down. It's got pop and candy, and we order pizza and deliver it during the game, and they sit down there. And our field's kind of gated off, so we give them passes. Every kid that's ever won this thing, they get those passes and wear it all day long. and they get to bring a friend. So they come, they sit down there. The administrators are down there. The SROs are down there. We constantly just, thank you for just doing the right thing and being here. And, we get a piece out of the deal because we got to go down there. But for us, in the fall, that's been big. It's, other things, we evolve as you will evolve. You got to find the things that, parking spots in certain places for kids to drive are very important.
Yes.
I don't work in a building or a district where we can have like Ci3T release time on a Friday, but if your district is willing to do that, you'll win a lot because kids love time.
Yeah.
And next year we're just gonna go to we're gonna go monthly. We have automatic reinforcers. They can take that ticket and turn in for a piece of candy anytime, anyhow. That's all right there. But we're gonna go to drawings once a month, and we're gonna go to a panel of 5 so that they have choice. Because again, time and money. So maybe you want a $25 gift card to Dillon's. Maybe you want X, Y, Z. So we'll just go some along that line. We'll see how it goes. But they're okay. I mean. It comes down to the conversation you have when you give the ticket, and not you talk about as a parents and people that are concrete thinkers think it's bribery, and I shouldn't have to bribe a kid to act decent. Well, you know what? That kid probably doesn't know how to act decent. I mean, does he live in your house? I don't think so. So we're teaching them what our expectation is, and when I give a ticket, it's like anything you guys already do, and that's the thing. All of your good teachers already do this.
Yes.
This is just an extra tool to give kids an opportunity to be recognized. Kat, thanks for being here today and helping me. I really appreciate the respect you showed our school. Here you go. Oh wow, this is cool. What do I do with it? Well, turn it over and read. We put the directions on the back.
That's a good idea.
But and then one last piece. I'm one of the principals, so I also do discipline. So I have that world too, because there's reactive plans that you guys are drawing, all that stuff. The first question out of my mouth when I talked to David, who's got sent to the office, is, Dave, what was the expectation? Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't, and sometimes as an administrator I have to reteach the expectation, and that's what it's about. Just we want school-wide expectations. That's it.
And in answer to your, how do the students
Do I
respond?
suspend kids out of school 10 days at a time? Yes, I do. I do it very kindly, but it's just there's still the reactive plan we follow. So they're just kids, man.
Go ahead.
Okay, the underclassmen, value them a little bit more than the upperclassmen with the rollout. I think that's going to change now that because we're only in year 2. So our underclassmen are like, oh yeah, but it is about the praise that comes with it. I mean, that is the piece behind it. Our kids want the roar zone, but of course we don't want to call it that because we're not lions, we're firebirds. But we're having a hard, I don't know what we would call it. Ooh, I like that. Soar zone, I like that. We're still trying to figure out if that's the one to go, but I'll tell you
Thanks a lot.
Sorry. Yeah. Thanks for helping us steal that idea better.
It's a huge.
Ours is called VIP.
Our biggest hook this year, our biggest one that they turned in, was we got some community businesses to match dollar for ticket to a charity of the student's choice. So the students chose a charity, and for every ticket that was turned into this bucket, or I don't know where it was, honestly, like I should, but I don't.
It's under the stairs.
No, this one wasn't under the stairs, I don't think. But maybe it still was. I don't like our placement of ours. It's not visual.
It's not visible.
It's not
Yeah,
visible.
alright.
And the kids have said that too. So these communities ended up saying up until a certain number, like they each matched, I don't know, $250, $500 of the tickets turned in, they would match that amount to go to to the charity of the student's choice. And that was our highest participation. We had students like just dumping them in there to get, and I think we ended up doing 2 different organizations. We did a financial donation to, or monetary donation to one organization. And then, is it Just Food here? Just Food's the food pantry? Yeah. So we went and bought canned food with the rest of it to donate to our food pantry here in Lawrence. So that was our biggest one. So, and that's the one that the kids keep asking to have more like that. But then you're really relying on some community partners for that. So, yeah.
So at my school, the kids have ample opportunity to use their tickets because we have a daily drawing every day. And whatever the kid wins, the teacher wins who handed out that ticket for the day. So, and right now during the month of May, we have a mystery wheel in the office, and so when your name's drawn out, you can spin it for the prize. And so then they announce it, of course, at the end of the day, and whatever the kid wins, then if I gave the ticket, then I would win the same prize. We also have ongoing month by month. Ours is called Ike's Inventory, so you can spend your bow wows, that's what we call our tickets, on something off of Ike's Inventory. All right, so, and you can do that anytime during the month that you want to do it. We also have weekly drawings then, so in each pod is a big barrel where kids can dump their tickets, and those then are drawn out weekly. Then we also have other special drawings where, let's say, one of our business partners has donated something to give away, and so those are usually set down at the end of the hallway. You can put your tickets in there on the way to lunch. Then in 6th grade, twice a year, we do a silent auction, and we just had our auction last year. Kids pool their bow wows. You'll get groups of kids, and we had 50 different things. Picnic in the pod, drinks from Hy-Vee gas station. The list just goes on and on and on and on. And so it's a silent auction during advisory time. Kids walk around in groups, sign up, and then we have a big day where we hand out the prizes.